So the meeting will then be officially called to order. Please stand as trustee Joseph Medina leads us in the invocation and the pledges of allegiance.
Almighty and merciful God, we ask you for your blessing and guidance upon this board, students, parents, and patrons, teachers, and administrators, as we assemble here this evening in the common pursuit of this great nation's wealth, our children. Amen.
Amen.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one indivisible.
Thank you, Mr. Medina. So this regular meeting of the Board of Trustees is authorized in accordance with Texas Government Code Sections 551.001 through 551.146. The next item of business on the agenda is the Superintendent's Report. Dr. Woods.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Good evening to everyone. Several items to report to the board tonight. I want to start with recognizing our ALE teachers and assistants and all of the volunteers it takes to put on Special Olympics every year. We held Special Olympics right before spring break, and it was very successful. And I want to add thanks to our adaptive PE coordinator, Donna Umhofer, who runs just a fantastic event for a really large number of kids, and that has grown tremendously over the years. I also want to congratulate Principal Talia Hernandez and the entire Evers staff on a fantastic 25th anniversary ceremony. I know a number of us were skated in at the end because of the traffic in Northwest Bexar County, but we were really treated to some fantastic student performances, and really want to congratulate all of those folks. Also want to reiterate to this board how proud I am of our support of the arts for our students, and I guess the most recent of many evidence of that is Los Leones, where half of our schools, because of our size, only half of our schools can exhibit. The other half get to exhibit next month at a different event. But it was just a fantastic event of all of the arts. Los Leones started as really a visual arts event and has transitioned to a performing arts event as well, and it's just a fantastic showcase of student and teacher talent. And thanks go to James Macholka and all of the fine arts leadership staff, and of course all of our arts teachers for that event. Want to thank the board, especially for attendance at our Educator of the Year event. I think that's a highlight for all of us, you know, through the years, to be able to congratulate those really fantastic educators from all of our schools. And I should have collected this one up under arts, and I failed to, sorry. So the Texas Cavaliers have a contest every year for the cover of the program for the Fiesta Parade. And so each city council district and then a winner from outside of the city in the county gets a student nominee finalist. So Northside had 5 of the 11 finalists for the art contest, and congratulations go to Lewis Elementary fifth grader Jacqueline Huey for winning. This is the second year in a row that a student from Lewis actually won that contest. And I need to recognize the Lewis art teacher, Lila Owens, who is just incredibly talented and dedicated, and really her students produce amazing work. I would say, with Mr. Blunt not here, that Heroes for Health came off as a great success again, and obviously thanks countywide to Bobby Blunt for his organization of that event. And then in Northside, thanks to Linda Seawald and all of our elementary PE teachers for the time and effort they put into putting police, fire, first responders, members of our military together with elementary students to talk about the importance of diet and exercise. So neat event. I think you're going to hear from some folks with AFT tonight about their cooperation with First Book on the giveaway, which sounds like it went just tremendously successfully. So I think I'll skip over my comments from there. I think you'll hear that tonight. Just say to the board that we're probably about 50 or so bond presentations into the 300 or more that will happen by the end and so far going very well, but we have quite a while to go on bond presentations, quite a few more to do. And with that, we'll transition to our video moment for tonight.
Any questions from the homework? Can a triangle exist where one of the sides is bigger than the hypotenuse? So what's the answer?
This is where you'll find Robert Luna most days, in his classroom at Health Careers High School teaching math.
Okay, which graph is that?
I love Coach Luna. He's like such a good teacher.
Okay, guys, let's play.
You might also find him here on the tennis courts coaching the high school tennis team.
Good overhead, that's the way, Josh.
And some weekends you'll find him here, preparing to deliver the weather on News 4 San Antonio.
3, 2.
And a perfect day to start spring break with temperatures in the upper 80s to near 90 degrees, and we are officially at the high of 88 degrees out there. I love telling people about the weather, talking about maybe the different weather patterns we get. We get into rainy patterns here in San Antonio. We get into warm patterns. We've gotten some cold weather this year. Temperatures in the 60s as we go through Tuesday.
And while Luna has loved talking about weather and chasing storms since he was a child,
What's always the hypotenuse? What?
his passion for the past 20 years has been teaching.
I love it. I love the kids. They keep me young. They keep me energetic. I love math, but bringing science into it. So that's why I didn't become a science teacher. I became a math teacher.
And every day he shares that love with his students.
He's like just so funny and he makes things like so easy to understand, and it's just, I don't know, he makes learning fun.
And some days the students even get a bonus science lesson.
All the time. I tell them, you better get ready, it's going to rain. I told them we're going to have a nice day and stuff. Didn't I tell you we're going to have a nice day? Yeah. And did we have it? Yeah.
He's a rock star for both of them. He's a math teacher, he's a tennis coach, he's in, like does the news, does the weather, and I'm like, and then he was like a tornado chaser or something too, so he's lived a pretty interesting life.
Northside, San Antonio's premier school district of choice.
That's a great feature on Robert Luna. I have teased him on a number of occasions where we're not sure about the weather for the next morning, and driving the roads at 3 o'clock, that he needs to be in the truck with me driving at 3 o'clock in the morning. So he does a fantastic job. That concludes Superintendent's report, Ms. Chumley.
All right, thank you very much. And the next item of business is board members' reports. Are there any trustees that have anything to share? Ms. Freeman?
Thank you, Ms. Chumley. First, Ms. Chumley, I'd like to introduce somebody that's sitting here. I know we have several students, and maybe you want to comment on our students in a bit. But there is a student here. Brittany, would you please stand up? Brittany had contacted me. She's a nursing student and actually seeking to get her degree as a nurse practitioner. And one of the expectations in her class is to observe a board. And so she knows all about hospital boards and medical boards, and she's chosen to observe us and write about us. And so, Brittany, we appreciate you being here. She's expecting, and her children hopefully will go to one of our Northside schools. So thank you for being here, Brittany. And I know, Ms. Chumley, you'll introduce some of our, I think we have Mr. Marbott's group. Also, to the board, we had a TASB board meeting over the weekend, and a couple of notes from our meeting. The City of San Antonio has bid on the TASB convention in 2020 and 2024. And it has just been finalized that we will have the 2020 convention in San Antonio. So that will be something to look forward to. SLI still continues to be in San Antonio. I don't know if that will change at all. This, of course, the TASB convention is one every so many years, but it'll be in San Antonio in 2020. We also spent a fair amount of time talking about Senate Bill 1566. And to those of you here, in Senate Bill 1566, there was a requirement for school board trustees to earn 3 hours of credit as it relates to the board's role in student achievement in a school district. And to this board, I think what we need to decide upon, TASB is able to train for the requirement in Senate Bill 1566 concurrently with our team building session. Training for 1566 will be offered at SLI at no charge, but this board might want to consider earning those credits concurrently in our team building over the summer. So we might want to put that into conversation and decide what it is, how we want to earn those credits and where we want to take that. There will be an online course that TASB will be offering for Senate Bill 1566 requirements. The holdup in actually putting that online, there's some legislative directive that the commissioner needs to put in 250 words or less what the state accountability system is all about. So the commissioner is working on that currently. And so that will be in the online training session. And to that point, we had the commissioner speak to us about the state accountability system and A through F that we're going to be, the A through F designation is we're going to be looking at it currently. And he spent a whole lot of time talking about it, a whole lot of slides, all to a topic that was supposed to be very easy to understand for everybody. And SLI is coming up. Registration begins in April, so that when we register, remember that you need to sign up for individual sessions for SLI. So I know Linda will be sending that out. And also, Dr. Woods, you did not mention it, but today you said that you were officially appointed to be or elected to be TASA Vice President. So congratulations on that.
Congratulations.
You've served years on the executive board, and
This man.
so congratulations. It's an honor for the school district. And that's all, Ms. Chumley.
Great, thank you. Ms. Reed?
Thank you, Ms. Chumley. I wanted to mention that, I had also attended the Los Leones, what do you call it? Los Leones, just
Art show and sell.
art show, etc., with my grandson, who was here visiting us from Houston. And he's a musician, and I said, I'm going to take you out there and show you what we do here at Northside. He's 18, so he's a senior in high school over in the Houston area. And he was amazed. The only thing I was very concerned about was that it might rain on the chalk art, which I think they finally got it done just before the rains came. But also he was very interested in listening to the musicians, and so it was a pleasure for me to be able to take him to something that was kind of unique for him, and I enjoyed doing that. And it's always a wonderful opportunity to share what our students are doing all across the district. And later on, we'll have another one over at the new gym, I guess, so where we'll see the rest of the schools. So that's one of the things that I was able to do, including Special Olympics, which I did go see also. And I think I talked last time about the fact that I had been to Meade Elementary School when they had their, I'm trying to remember the word that they call it. It's not a parade of nations, but it's like a parade of nations, but it's indoors. And they had 23 different countries represented with people carrying flags from their country. There were people all over the audience and of students, as well as audience of parents dressed in their native apparel. It was a wonderful event, and they actually have medals that they had made, which show all the different students around, and I'm going to share those with everybody. The other thing I'm going to share with you is their choir sang at the end of it, and the song they sang, I get goosebumps just thinking about it. It was so moving. It's called "Together We Can Change the World," and the words are just, they can't do it by myself, so I'm asking for your help. Together we can change the world. Sail past where it's been charted. Roll your sleeves up. Let's get started. Together we can change the world. That's just one verses. So I'm going to pass those on for you. It was very, very moving, and just thinking that together we can change the world. And if they can do this in their culture, why can't the rest of the world do it too? So thank you.
Thank you. Dr. Harrell.
So I just wanted to piggyback on something that Karen said. I went through the 4-hour version of the Senate Bill 1566, and I would agree that I think as a board, it is a team focused training. I think it'll allow us to have some really rich and robust dialogue about Northside instead of sitting with multiple school districts and saying, oh, you do that, you do that. And it wasn't meant to be that. It was really meant to be focused on student achievement in Northside or in each of our individual districts. So I would highly recommend that we do that. I did want to echo Dr. Wood's thanks for the Special Olympics. To see kids march with such pride and joy, and they were wearing, the theme was, there's no place like Northside, so it was a Wizard of Oz theme, and there were even flying monkeys. And I remember I didn't like that movie just because of that. It took me a while to grow into it because of the flying monkeys, but these flying monkeys were just the cutest things. And we were leaving, and this one little kiddo came over, and he gave, his whole body was a hug. It was the best hug. And Dr. Woods commented about that. I mean, it really, there's no way you could have had a bad day or a bad week after that hug. It was tremendous. But Donna did a great job, and the teachers were phenomenal. But all our volunteers that come out too from all different organizations, it's a once in a lifetime experience. But we get to do it more than once in a lifetime, so it's such a joy. Again, the elementary and secondary educators of the years, we had a lot of librarians, which was really cool. So I'm glad it's educators of the year and not, some districts do teachers of the year, because we have phenomenal educators in all walks of life, phenomenal. So hats off for that celebration. I wanted to brag on Dr. Woods. He did an outstanding job presenting the bond and related questions at a recent educational committee of the Northside Chamber of Commerce. And really just, I think that's about all I can say about the bond, right, without getting into trouble. But he did a great job. I got a wonderful experience the other day of going to John Marshall High School, my alma mater, in which, by the way, they earned enough to buy their Ram Band, their Mighty Ram Band trailer tonight at a fundraiser at Martha's. So hooray for that. I think they were probably more excited than the band director, but they're going to have a beautiful not emotional, but motivational Ram Band, trailer. So real quick, but I went to observe the ambassadors program, and what it is a group of students from all, I mean, any student can join. It's not, if you're in student council or if you're president of Spanish club or whatever, you come once a week to ambassadors. And what it is, it's a group of students, and they started out at 60-something. The administrators facilitate it, but the students lead it. And it's all about how to improve life and culture at John Marshall High School. And so they brainstorm ideas, and then throughout the week, they communicate those ideas and give out ambassador bucks. So when they see a student, for example, holding a door open, or going to sit with another student in a cafeteria who's sitting alone, or helping someone who just dropped a bunch of books, they're giving out these bucks, and those bucks can be used for various incentives. So phenomenal. But just to listen to the students talk about their school and taking care of each other and taking care of families, it just was phenomenal. But anyway, it's called Ambassadors, and I think Warren is also starting that. The last thing I'll mention is I got to go with a group of girls from Zachary, and they have a Z STEM program, a group of girls who want to be STEM engineers. And Santico's graciously let us see how movies have changed from the big reels that I even had in my classroom, I think, to how everything is done through an email. like they email the previews, and then they attach that email link to whatever the movie is, and everything's handled electronically in a box about this big. So, but it was fascinating. And what happens if you mess up those links, or the kid was really just saying, you got to pay attention. You got to be able to be an IT person. And so, so he brought in that whole technology piece, and then we saw Wrinkle in Time, which is my all-time favorite book. Girls were phenomenal. Anyway, that's it for me. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Northside.
Gerald, Mr. Lopez.
Thank you. I mean, I didn't have a chance to do too many things, but one of them I did attend was I was invited by the Francis Rhodes Middle School, elementary school, I'm sorry, where they did a PTA presentation, and they had invited me during the PTA ceremonies a while back, but it was really interesting to see how in the PTA meeting, what they did was they were able to bring in and talk about certain topics for the community coming up, and one of the topics was having to do about the bond and just informing local residents about the bond, and so I had the pleasure of being there with Wesley, and Wesley and I, he did the presenting, and I just kind of cleaned up and just said, hey, thank you very much. But it was an overall a very good presentation. It was very informative, and so it's just that commitment that the community has is in wanting to have more information about what's coming up. So Wesley, great job on that. I appreciate you showing up to that. So and then one more thing, congratulations, Dr. Woods, on the appointment of the board. So I know you're going to do a good job and you're going to represent us well. So thank you very much for being a part of that, and congratulations. And that's pretty much it.
All right, thank you. Mr. Medina?
Just real quickly, we've overlapped on a couple of these events, and so pre-planning, I know our teachers have worked really, really hard. Our students have put a lot of effort, and next week or the following week will be their assessments, their state assessments, and I wanted to recognize our teachers and our students and their families for all their efforts and planning, and we wish them the best of luck. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, and I've got just, first off, oh, I'm sorry, Bobby, I didn't see you. No, I apologize, I didn't see you. Go ahead, please.
I was late on my button, too. I'm sorry. Late on everything.
No, that's okay.
I just in case, I'm just going to mention about Heroes for Health, and not the description of it. I do really want to thank the district, and districts put a lot into it, as well as the military, the fire department, and police department that may have been previously mentioned, the sheriff's department, and we have some new ones with the constable. But what I really want to do is just, we've been doing this year 4, right? Year 4. And every time you do these, you get valuable lessons. There were 2 things that really amazed me this year. One is the heroes really felt appreciative of the kids. They felt that the kids really admired them as heroes, especially some of the new military folks. They were really excited about that, and they really enjoyed that. And which led to the second part is now they are so excited they keep asking what else can they do in their schools. And I think that's one of the other benefits of having these type of activities, in addition to the benefit our kids get, but really getting others engaged and excited about what's going on. So thanks to, again, Dr. Woods, the superintendents, and others for allowing us to do that.
Great. Thank you.
Sure.
First off, I want everybody raise their hand that's a student. And are all of y'all with Mr. Marbut? Yes, everybody is? Anyone? No, is there anyone who's not part of Professor Marbut's class? Okay, and where are y'all from? UTSA? Well, great. Well, we're really glad to have you here, and y'all picked a really good board meeting because it's actually a very short agenda, but we're really glad to have you here, and it's nice that y'all use us for your board credits. I just had a couple of things just real quick. I really want to thank the staff for the bond presentations that they're doing. I've been to quite a few recently, and I think with various staff members, and they've done a really good job. And I want to thank all of our parents and community members that have welcomed us into their school events to hear about the bond. It's extremely important, and I know that sometimes parents don't quite understand exactly why we're taking the time from their child's, performance, but it's very, very important. And so far, I think everyone has been extremely gracious, and the staff has done a really good job, Dr. Woods, in presenting the importance of the bond and, what we have done in the past as well. So I want to thank all of them, because it's a lot of late nights that our staff is putting out there. And I just wanted to add kudos to Ms. Hernandez and the Vice Principal Alvarez, Paul Alvarez at Evers. There was such a huge turnout at that 25th anniversary. I was really amazed. I mean, the parking lot at Evers and at Jordan was completely full, and people were just standing room only. I just thought that was just a really good indication of how supportive and how important that elementary school is for that community. So I just really wanted to shout out to them. And then the last thing, I got the nicest email from Matt Singleton, who was a Northside student and is now the journalism teacher at Holmes High School. In the last 2 years, his journalism students had won a silver award, a Silver Crown Award, and it's from the Columbia University's College Scholastic Press Association. And this year they won the Gold Crown. And they were very excited, and I appreciated that. He sent me and Clark and Stevens, I believe, got awards as well. I just didn't receive an email from Clark and Stevens, but I just, I really appreciated. He was so enthusiastic about just how much his kids had done, and I think that's the thing I appreciated the most, is he was just so proud of them and appreciated their hard work. So that's all that I have, and so the next item of business on the agenda is actually the consent agenda. Is there a motion to come before the board? Ms. Reed.
Just a comment before I make the motion. There are a number of items on here that came through the building committee that we have all discussed, and you'll see on there's a lot of contractors, et cetera, that have been selected to do jobs. A lot of them will be happening this summer. However, at the very end, we are signing a letter of support for the 21st Century Community Learning Center, and it's a grant that we've applied for, and I guess we've received it, I don't know how many years in a row. And it's support that goes to a number of our schools that are, I think, all Title I schools. Is that correct?
Yes.
And so we would assume that we will be receiving it again, but it certainly is one of those things that we apply and sort of automatically get, but we shouldn't consider it automatic. I just think it's great that we're able to do that and that we are receiving those funds. So with that having been said, I would move approval of the consent agenda.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we approve the consent agenda. Are there any questions or comments? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed? The ayes have it, and the motion carries. I just have one comment on it. Y'all make sure that you look at the mural that is going to happen at Boone with the approval of this motion. Natalie Adams is back, and it's just an amazing mural. She really has outdone herself on this, so y'all get a chance to look at that. Okay, the next item of business on the agenda is the citizens to be heard. Okay, we believe citizens to be heard is important and meaningful, and we listen to what you have to say. We value your opinions, although we are restrained by law from taking any action. So these are the rules. Please use the podium. Address your remarks to the board. Confine your remarks to a Northside policy or practice. Limit your remarks to 3 minutes. At 2 minutes, the board secretary will hold up the red card, the yellow card, I'm sorry. At 3 minutes, the board secretary will hold up the red card. We ask that you wrap up your remarks at that point, and please do not make attacks on do not make personal attacks on individuals. And audience, we ask that you please refrain, I cannot talk tonight, that you please refrain from any negative response. Thank you. Mr. Lopez?
Okay, Tracy Jordan.
President Chumley, distinguished board members, Dr. Woods, thank you for allowing me to be heard. I'm Tracy Jordan. I'm a proud teacher of the Northside Independent School District. I teach at John Jay High School and Science and Engineering Academy. Because I am a proud teacher of Northside, I am also a proud member of the Northside American Federation of Teachers. And as a member, I want to say thank you. Thank you, Northside Independent School District and Dr. Woods, for partnering or allowing the American Federation of Teachers to partner with the Northside Independent School District to distribute 40,000 books, new books, to John Jay and Oliver Wendell Holmes high schools and their feeders. Great things happen when Northside Independent School District, or actually when Northside American Federation of Teachers partners with Northside Independent School District. I know we all have busy schedules, and so I wanted to just bring you up to date on what you missed
No.
this Saturday. You missed a little girl, a little pre-kindergartner, picking out her books and proudly taking those up to be checked out, understanding that they were her books to keep. You missed the grateful, the joy and the thanks on the faces of the parents who could take these books home for their children. You missed a community coming together, volunteering to put books in the hands of children. These volunteers came from Northside AFT, from Northside middle schools and high schools, as well as Northside Parent Engagement. They were out there as well. Thank you for providing the venue, the Paul Taylor Fieldhouse, so that we could distribute these books. This event was a wonderful illustration of what the American Federation of Teachers and the Northside Independent School District can do. And we plan to have this event again in the fall if we can partner with Northside Independent School District. Thank you.
Thank you. That really is a great job, you guys. Thank you.
Next person is Norma Barnes.
I'm just going to add on. We had over 250 plus volunteers to help out. We had 5,633 people walk through the stadium to get free books. Not only that, but I'm still getting calls, when is the next event? And emails. So this is on Dr. Woods to give us permission to see we can do it at the beginning of school.
A little pressure there, John.
We'll have a conversation.
And not only that, but some even other parents that receive books for their kids want to be volunteers on the next event. So I have a waiting list of parents that want to help out.
Thank you.
Okay. Next person, Wanda Longoria.
Before I begin, again. We gave Linda McGee a video on a flash for your viewing, so you can see what it was like from the beginning to the end. It was a lot of work. But with that said, I'm going to reiterate some of the things, but I wanted to come speak specifically to the parts where you all helped us get to this point, okay, with the event. First and foremost, Northside would like to thank you, Northside AFT would like to thank you for collaborating with us, for taking a risk on us. I know that that was a risk. I know that there were times you might have been questioning whether you made the right decision. To bring such an important and impactful service to our parents, children, and the community of Title I schools. We thank you for the use of the pallet lifters that facilitated unloading the trucks and moving the books into Paul Taylor Fieldhouse. The use of Paul Taylor Fieldhouse itself, it was perfect for the event. The planning and work done by facilities to lay down the protective carpets that were necessary to keep the flooring safe and secure and not to scratch it. To the use of NISD police who worked hard to provide protection, safety, and to keep traffic under control. The maintenance folks who helped throughout the event to ensure restrooms were properly maintained and clean. And to all the NISD staff who came out to volunteer their time and energy to ensure that parents knew where to go, what to do on that specific day. We can't thank you enough for the librarians that came out to actually label the books and tell us where they would go so that we could organize them in K through 3rd, 4th through 5th, and then middle school and high school. Northside would like to also express our tremendous thanks to Dr. Harrell, who made sure that she arranged for bus shuttles to pick up those kids from those areas. If this had not happened, many of our parents would probably not have made it out that day, and they were coming in steady. We'd also like to express our tremendous thanks to Lisa Turner, who worked with us throughout the entire process as well as during the event. She posted on Twitter, on Facebook, which brought more parents out. And we're happy to say that all 40,000 books were given out to parents, students, and teacher volunteers who came out to make this event happen. The week of planning and training by Northside and Northside AFT helped this become a smooth transition and an awesome event. Matthew Jones from Paul Taylor Fieldhouse was a great help along with all his team. A special shout out to the home swim team who brought 20 plus students who started on second shift and went through to the end of the day. We want to thank Even Start Family Literacy Program who engaged the little ones with puppets, and they had a lot to do and keep them interested. And last but not least, thank you, Dr. Jordan, for being out there and walking amongst the parents. I'm sure you got to experience some of the things we did. I'm not going to repeat how many people came in. We final clicked at 5,633, but it was wonderful to see grandparents and parents there as well. One little girl even came to our table so excited, and she asked us if we would please do this again next year. She probably was 7. That's what I call Northside inspired. You know, research has been done just recently that San Antonio is one of the 7th largest cities, right? Did you know that 1 out of 4 adults reads at the 5th grade level? And so we know that the more positive, engaging activities that bring literacy into the world of children, the more successful they're going to be in academics. We know this. And the probability that they'll be reading adults for life is huge. So we thank you for allowing us to have First Books event like this one come to Northside. That said, we do plan to do this again next year. We're trying to work with Lisa to make that happen. And perhaps this next time we'll have a lot more parents out there, teachers, support personnel, more members as well as non-members, and more admin staff to be able to interact with the parents and to take pictures with them, because that's what they wanted. They wanted to take pictures with us and show off their books and things like that. So thank you again to all of you for the risk you took with us to make this event happen and be so special for these families. Thank you again.
Thank you.
Next person is Melissa Gonzalez.
Hi.
Hi.
hard to follow up a big group like that, and they did such wonderful things. As an English teacher, I'd like to say thank you very much. I know how much those books mean to the students. I know security is on everybody's mind, so I'm not going to stand up here and go on and on. Right? I know every state has had a really good turnout in regard to issues about security. You're not, let's just say you're not going to hear me say anything about guns, okay? That's not my point. But I didn't really plan for this. I thought, I'm just going to go. So forgive me, I didn't have a long agenda for you or anything. I want to know about security in regard to the school cameras on campus. I know that campuses have many cameras that pick up everything, almost everything if we're lucky. And I know that those cameras are used primarily after the fact. Right, when something bad has happened, we look at the cameras to decide who's at fault or maybe catch the culprit and help the victim. I question in my mind, and there may be like a snappy answer that you might have already questioned this yourself. Could we devote an employee to watching the cameras the entire school day rather than devoting the police officer who needs to be on his feet and out observing because he knows what he's observing. He's trained to see things before they happen instead of waiting until after it happens. I would really like this to be considered. Now, I could say just add another person to your budget on every single campus. No big deal, right? You can just throw in people on your, that's ridiculous. I know that. But I do know something else. Teachers have duty time. Could we possibly consider having teachers put in duty time watching the camera instead of just watching the kids on the campus? Maybe we could get more benefit and security from our cameras than after the fact. I have questions about the lobbies, and I have questions about the appropriate age of students to be on campus, period. I have questions about why felons are allowed to attend public school and we're not allowed to know what they did to protect ourselves from it happening again, even than what their triggers are. But today, I'd just like you to consider the camera monitors and how we can use them more effectively in our security. Could we devote somebody to a permanent position and put our police officers back outside on the campus or where they belong, to help more readily in the crowd? But thank you very much. That's my main point, is the cameras. I think they could be used more efficiently with just an extra set of eyes other than the police officer.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for your time. I appreciate it.
Catherine Morales?
Good evening. This is my first time ever coming. And I come today as a voice for my daughter. She's 12 years old in the 6th grade at Patneff. And I ask that you please listen to what I have to say. First of all, please forgive me. I'm emotionally drained, physically, just exhausted. Friday, March 23rd, at Patneff Middle School, my daughter Angelina Gomez was the victim of assault in a sexual manner and sexual harassed on school campus. During her 8th grade period, AP math class, a classmate exposed his penis and testicles under the table. He was having an appropriate conversation regarding the size of his genitals, and when he tried to include my daughter in the conversation, she continued to ignore him. Now, before this incident, she has always asked multiple times to be removed from this table that she's assigned to. Not once have they removed her. This young gentleman, well, not gentleman, but young man, has taken her personal property, broken her pencils, keep harassing her, but yet she's to learn to deal with it and get along. So now it has come to where he has now exposed himself. So, waiting for a response back, trying to include her, she tried to focus on her lesson, and she just said, her response was, "Are you sure?" And she just kept on trying to ignore him. So then he took it a step further and said, "Once the class is let out, I will follow you, and I'm going to rub," the term he used was balls, "all over you." So the minute that the class let out, she told one of her friends that she was going to be walking with, "I'm going to run." And her friend didn't know what was going on. So Belle let out, she took off. Well, she thought she was in the clear. She wasn't. He caught her. He grabbed her. That is unacceptable. This is a zero tolerance school, and the principal is allowing it to happen. Okay, I do have, and I would like to give each one of you one of these so that you are aware. This is my notarized letter that I had to go to the state representative asking for help. Okay, it is on video. Principal does not have time, nor does the officer on campus have time. My daughter was clinging to a pole, asking for help, screaming at the top of her lungs. Not one teacher, not one adult came to her rescue, but another 12-year-old friend saved her, pulled her away, and she is forever grateful to him. So this, I ask, put yourself in this situation. What if it was your child? What if it was your grandchild? Okay, this is something serious. The campus officer did not help me. I took it to this building. No help. I've gone to my state representative now for help. Next day will be media.
I apologize.
Ma'am,
But I was sexually assaulted on a Northside campus as well. And
Ma'am,
I was
ma'am,
the same complaint.
I'm sorry.
Not alone.
I appreciate y'all's feelings. What I would like to know is, has the grievance process been explained to you, and have you spoken to our staff? I just need a yes or no.
No, it has not been.
All right. We'll take care of
Nor
that.
was I advised that there's an official statement that she has to write that was supposed to be given to us when we took this Monday morning to the principal.
All right. We'll have that addressed right now.
And I just ask, please, I don't want to send her back to school tomorrow. How do I know that she won't be raped?
Well,
In retaliation.
I'd appreciate if you would speak to Mr. Galindo. Okay, thank you. That ends the citizens to be heard. The next item of business on the agenda is the schematic design. Mr. San Miguel.
Thank you, Ms. Chembley. Before you today, we have the design of the library for Rayburn Middle School. Some of you remember in the last board meeting, we had a presentation given to us by Monty Howard of Mormon and Mock Architects related to the design, schematic design for the athletics, special education, and fine arts portion of the work that is going to occur this year. We advised the board that we were not ready for the library. However, we would come back later, so therefore we are here today to talk about and present to you the schematic design for the library at Rayburn Middle School. And again, the intent is to package these together so we can bid those out as one package to include the library. Again, to be, it's our intent to start the construction this year. So, Monty?
President Chumley, trustees, Dr. Woods, and staff, thank you for allowing us to be here tonight to present our work on Rayburn Middle School. First slide we have up is essentially an orientation slide to give you an idea of where the campus is again. 410 West and Valley High Drive, kind of on the central west side of the district. The next slide, please. What we have here is kind of the second generation of the site plan from the master plan that we presented before. What you see here is building A demolition, which will be initial part of this package. for the project. And then on the right side is the replacement library in place for the campus as well. It's a slightly larger building, about 1,800, 1,900 square feet larger than the original building. More robust structure and much more appropriate volumes consistent with the district standards. Next slide, please. This is our schematic design for the project, again, consistent with the district guidelines for library design. You see the large library area at the bottom. It's a semi-square shape, which will allow really kind of maximize flexibility for use of the space. You also see the classroom with the glass wall on the lower level, which will give a nice view back into the library room itself.
Oh, they did.
Along with the workroom, office, video distribution room, IDF, and other support spaces for the building.
Thank you. We had questioned where the computers were, so thanks,
Yes,
Monty, for
actually,
taking care of
that's
that.
gone through some development in the last few days. They are right now aligned along the side wall for the building, but they can. All the furniture is, our understanding, is to be mobile anyway, so this stuff can move around quite a bit. It's a highly flexible space.
Thank you.
Next slide, please. Another orientation image. The image on the top is an aerial of the campus. Building A to the left side of the slide is the building that we're dealing with today. What you see at the bottom is kind of a panorama view from the main street approach to the building. Next slide. Again, some other orientation images of buildings around the site. This kind of gives you an idea of what the context of the campus is right now. This image gives you an idea of where our next series of elevation drawings are taken from. You can refer to that in your handout package as we move through. The image at the top is from the main street view of the building. What you see here actually is a future concept image for the library, which is on the left side, and what could be a new administration building on the right, which we're trying to work with what the future of the campus needs to be in order to give you an idea of what the new look for the campus would be. What we're trying to communicate here is that the library is kind of a secondary image for the future of the campus. The administration building needs to be the primary image, and we wanted to make sure that we were doing appropriate things with this building in order to support what would happen in a future phase of construction on the campus. The administration building on the right needs to be a little bit more predominant and the entry feature for the campus in the future. Next slide. This is the view from actually the campus side. The library is on the right side. The administration building's on the left. Again, it gives you kind of an idea of what the campus would look like from the interior with the new buildings there in place. This is a cutaway view of the new library there in the center of the screen. They give you an idea of what the layout of the stacks and tables and various other items in the room would be, along with the support areas on the right side of the image. This is a view of the building from the parking lot side, the main approach side. Again, the library is on the left. The drop-off structure, the canopy drop-off structure is there in the center, and then the existing administration building is off on the right. Next slide. And this is an idea of what the future concept could be, ways out to give you an idea of where we believe the campus approach feature needs to be, and the library would support that as a new image for the front of the campus. That's our presentation.
All right, thank you very much. Ms. Reed, as Building Committee Chairman, is there anything that you would like to add?
No, I think, well, just briefly, I guess, we did talk about this at length at the Building Committee meeting, and I think everybody is pretty well in favor of the design that you have come up with, and the only concern we really had was the computers were originally in the middle of the room, and that would limit what we could do in that room, so we've asked to put them on the side, one of the side walls, and we've done that. So I would move approval of the schematic design as presented.
Thank you. Is there a second? Oh, I'm sorry, Ms. Freeman, I missed that.
Oh, that's okay. I had a question. I'm sorry, I couldn't make the building committee. So what happens, so we're taking down the old library, demolition of the existing library, and then rebuilding. What happens to the school in the interim? Where are the books going to be? What are they going to use as a library?
So we had a conversation with the principal, and we suggested that they move the library somewhere on campus proper. So we're going to dedicate 2 existing classrooms within the campus. I think one of the newer buildings is where he selected the library should go, which is adjacent to the library. And that would be a little bit easier, as opposed to trying to move the library into portables. So we're going to take 2 classrooms and move those to portables because they're a little more flexible, don't have the requirements. So that's what's going to happen during the duration of the construction, which is probably going to be about a 12-month period.
Thank you.
And of course, we're going to move a lot more portables in there because we're going to displace the athletics, we're going to displace various other types of things. So there's going to be some portables back where they used to be when we build those 2 buildings in front over 2 bond periods.
So a lot going on, but that happens in many of our campuses that we do renovations.
That's right. But the library being the core, we were able to find a solution to keep it within the core of the facility in an existing permanent building, so to speak. And then when we finish, we'll migrate that to the new space.
Thank you.
Let me add something, if you would, Ms. Chumley.
Please.
One of the reasons that we can't just renovate the existing building is, if most of you will remember, that we've had a lot of problems on that site so far as the shifting soils. So what this new library building will then have is a much, much better foundation.
We also wanted to preserve the courtyard piece of that campus as well on that. Thank you for coming back and giving us another look at this.
Thank you for the opportunity.
So I believe we have a motion on the floor. Do we have a second? And we have a second. All right. It's been moved and seconded that we approve the schematic design for the library replacement at Rayburn Middle School. Are there any questions or comments? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, the ayes have it, and the motion carries. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Mike.
All right, the next item of business on the agenda, Mr. Rastellini, is the first reading of policy BDB local.
Thank you, Ms. Chumley. Actually, there are 2
And
policies.
policy ECE local.
Yeah, we're bringing 2 policies. These are actually cleanup items that actually went through the Finance Committee for discussion. The first policy that we are bringing forward for discussion this evening is BDB local. This actually addresses the 5 standing committees of the board. Particularly, their roles are outlined in that policy, specifically to act as a liaison between the board and the administrative staff in the areas which they're assigned to. The policy that revision that we're bringing for this is to further clarify the role of the Finance Committee in respect to financial reporting and the audit process.
Sure.
The revision reads as follows. Certainly you can follow it in your handout as well, or your attachment as well. One role of the Finance Committee is to assist the board in fulfilling its oversight responsibilities for the financial reporting process, the system of internal control, and the audit process. This language is consistent with established audit and accounting standards, and as such, we're recommending that it is added to this particular policy. At this time, I can answer questions about that one, or we can wait till the end.
Let's do the next one. I'm not seeing any questions right now, David.
Okay, very good. The next policy that we have is somewhat similar in the fact that it does address some financial aspects, specifically as it relates to the district's fund balance policy. In policy CE local, which addresses the budget, specifically the adoption of the budget, the timing of the budget, and related items, it does not address or have articulated in that policy anything related to the fund balance. It's our recommendation, and it's rather lengthy, so I won't read that back to you. But this is, the recommendation is to add the fund balance language that mirrors exactly the same resolution that we bring to the board each August for commitment of fund balance. It actually just describes what the fund balance is the classifications of the fund balance, be it expendable, reserve, committed, those are all in line and in compliance with current accounting promulgation. And then it also talks about the use of fund balance, and in particular, the goal is to keep an undesignated, unreserved fund balance at a healthy level, so to speak. Doesn't put a specific amount, which we would never recommend that. So those two items, again, we did discuss in Finance Committee, bringing them forward this evening for discussion, and we anticipate bringing them back in April for second reading and approval.
Thank you. Ms. Freeman?
I have a question. Please help me remember, is this change, this recommended change coming to us, was that from a TASB update, or was this a suggestion by our auditor, or where?
Actually, this is really an articulation of our practice. The policy, are you talking about the committee role or the fund balance?
The changes that we're looking at right now.
Okay. Well, in both policies, they are consistent with accounting promulgations and auditing promulgations in particular. The only other thing that came into play is as far as consideration from our end of it was typically when we do bond transactions, we do get several questions from the rating agencies and the underwriter bond counsel as it relates to our fund balance policies.
Thank you.
Are there any other questions? Mr. Rastellini, I have one.
Yes, ma'am.
In our local policy, we list our standing committees and we list the committee role. So I'm not quite sure, why are we specifically adding a responsibility or listing a separate responsibility for the Finance Committee when we do not have that for any of the other committees that we have? So what is driving this?
Again, that one follows more of auditing standard than anything else. It's a matter of practice that when we have issues as it relates to our financial reporting, specifically our audit, that go through the Finance Committee. So this is just really, this one step here is just an articulation of our current practice, which again follows accounting standards.
Let me share with you, 2 years ago, the auditor made a report to the board and said that in essence, they'd fulfilled their responsibility because they had shared this with the Finance Committee. Our committees are committees that have no power to act, and I was very uncomfortable with that auditor at that time making that statement that being before a committee had equal weight in relation to standing before this board, and that's not true. So I'm concerned with us having any language in this policy that is specific to just one committee. So, and I mean, this is our first reading, and I'll be glad to get with you and Mr. Lopez.
Sure.
And understand it, but I'm really not comfortable with us doing this.
I can tell you this language doesn't empower the Finance Committee for any action. It just acts as the liaison as far as audit communication, and that would be the issue that auditor made was they fulfilled their obligation by reporting to the Finance Committee. That's the audit communication. As a standard of practice, at least in our district, we do give that communication to all the board members. But from the auditor's perspective, the way this is written in the policy, that communication can be made to the Finance Committee.
Maybe we need to talk about that piece of it, because they're not fulfilling their responsibility by delivering their report to the Finance Committee. That report has to come to us as a team of 8. David, I'm just,
yeah,
I'm not at
agree
all
that-
comfortable with this.
Yeah, the audit communication is different than the audit report, absolutely, and this change does not bring the report issue down to the finance committee. It's still at the board level, absolutely.
So maybe it was an auditor issue of our misunderstanding when that comment was made, but then adding this language just, I don't know, I'm uncomfortable, so I'll be glad to talk to you about that before it comes back to the board. Dr. Harrell?
No, I think you just ended it. No, you just ended with what I was going to suggest, so it's good. And the fact that it's really a form of communication, not a rubber stamping, not,
Right.
and so it was probably not handled the way in which it was intended, the way that you said. So, no, but you summarized it great.
All right, then this is the first reading. We'll have the second reading at the next board meeting for final approval. And Mr. Lopez, I apologize. Did you, as Finance Committee Chair, was there anything that you would like to add to this or part of that conversation?
Yeah, we did talk about that, and those were one of the questions that we were saying. Is one of the concerns, and David expressed it very well, was that it's still, this is not giving the full authority to the Finance Committee. It's still got to be presented to the whole board as a whole. So he was making that point very clear. You know, I can see where there's some concern about giving a little bit more authority on that from one part, but it's really not. It's just more of a, you know, we're still going to continue using the normal communications of informing what's going on and stuff like that. So it's not going to change. I don't think so. I mean, but we'd be happy to discuss that.
Okay, thank you. All right, the next item of business on the agenda is the security overview. Mr. Galindo.
Yes, ma'am. Ms. Chumley, Dr. Woods, members of the
Wait,
board.
I'm sorry, Mr. Galindo, let me just preface this just real quick, is that in bringing this to the board, and it was the board's request that we do this, I would just like to remind trustees that there are some things in relation to our security that we are not, you know, we have to be careful about when we have our discussion about our security. And so I just, you know, wanted to just remind all of us in relation to that.
Absolutely. Thank you for mentioning that, Ms. Chumley. So unfortunately, media has covered a number of tragic events that have occurred across the nation, not just at schools, but at a number of different venues. That being said, we thought we'd give you a safety and security update as to where we stand as a school district. And so, you've heard Dr. Woods mention, you know, kind of a three-lens approach to look at safety: people, procedures, and facilities. And so certainly those are the perspectives, I think, in the short presentation that we wanted to kind of give you some of the information, some of the measures that we've taken as a district. And certainly, although we have, I think, compared to a lot of districts, a lot of good approaches and measures already put in place. I'll use the phrase from CNI in that continuous improvement is something that we, for this whole topic in this whole area, will always have. And so, that being said, we'll start with people. And for starters, and we have with us tonight too, also I might add the Chief of Police here, Shane Allard. And I'll begin with that. As far as people and safety and security go, we have, and a lot of folks don't realize, by numbers, probably the third largest department, police department in Bexar County behind SAPD and Bexar County Sheriffs. 100 line level officers. These are fully commissioned officers that can arrest, that can issue tickets. And so not many districts have that. We also have one individual, Mr. Allard, who's our dedicated safety and security officer with his background, what he does. Again, continuously auditing buildings, and so working with principals, walking campuses, working and involving facilities as necessary. So that, again, something that many districts don't have. The next item you have there, and I'll try to mention just a few things of each of this, is the Integrated Security Management System Department that we have. What is that? Well, that's a department that, again, because of what you'll see in a little bit, thousands of cameras that we have, this is a team of folks that every day are out there maintaining, modifying, adjusting cameras as needed. And so this group, we feel, has been very effective in the everything involved with those cameras and the use of them. The next item you see there is again, 24/7, 365 days. We have a human. We have a police dispatch, someone there who can answer calls. You'll see not just the direct line that's called, but we have other measures as well that can be anonymously called in. And so there again, every day of the year, there's someone there. Thanks to this board, the last bond, we had some money that were dedicated to what we call P25 interoperability. What that means is money was spent to get the radios and the connections and everything that goes with them to communicate not just amongst them, but now with SAPD, with fire department, in case of a catastrophic situation, our police department can communicate with everyone in the county in that respect. That is an initiative that actually started after 9/11. It's been that long, and in some parts of the country still, some folks haven't gotten there yet. But here in Bexar County, our police included, though, have that communication means that with everyone from Helotes to Leon Valley and SAPD, if they have that operability, we can communicate with them. And then finally on that slide, you see elementary officers. Not only do we have officers at all our secondary schools, but we started, again, thanks to your approval and support, elementary officers. But I'll add also that this is not your typical police officer. They're not there for discipline. We initially got calls, why are there police officers at our elementary schools? It's a community approach that they're using. These police officers go in and read to the kids. They actually help kids out. They're in there. They're part of the community. There are PTA meetings. And so we feel that that whole initiative has been very successful. And although they're not at every school, they are assigned a number of schools, and they try to go and be there as much as possible. And as much as possible, kind of share and help promote the whole, if you see something, say something, kind of approach. And so we think that's been a very effective way of including the officers at our campuses.
Ray, if I could, just really quickly, those folks are actually assigned by pieces of geography, so they spend the entire school day in one small piece of the district's geography, serving schools that are relatively close together. Another unique part of our department is that we have a canine officer in unit as well, very, actually kind of a celebrity, Alice, I'm sure you're aware. And she just not only is there to detect drugs, but it can also actually detect gunpowder as well. And so there again, not a lot of districts have a police department that has a canine unit. And there again, as much as possible at the elementary level, have done it in a way that's kid-friendly, we feel. We have a district-level safety and security committee. Now, this mirrors what we've had on campuses for many, many years, which is the next bullet item, which is a campus-level safety committee. But this committee, although not required by statute, we have, and it started out as a large committee, primarily of central office folks, and it's evolved now to where this year we actually have students, we have obviously parents, and it's a much smaller but a much more diverse committee that we have implemented now for a number of years, and also in our discussions when it comes to safety have involved them. And so we think that's been a very effective way of involving the community. As I mentioned, as far as I can remember as an administrator, every year we have the campus level safety committee that every August when they come back have to update the names and everything else that goes with the procedures, go through with every teacher, every assistant, everyone, all personnel on staff as to what the procedures are in case of a situation on the campus. And so that continues. We've done that for a year, and every year we tweak it to where we think we're doing a better job. We also, switching a little now from PD and the campus, have a comprehensive guidance program that through Don Schmidt and Dr. Ridgely has been there to assist in any type of crisis, any type of situation, and really kind of emphasizes the human side of things and making sure that all of those needs are being met. And then finally on that slide you see the dads of great students, dogs, the watch dogs. Not only an elementary program anymore, it's expanded, we're very proud to say, to middle schools. A lot of middle schools are picking up on that. Great to have on their day off, dads with a t-shirt helping out administration, walking the building, and being there to assist as needed. And so that we're happy to see has really taken off in the last few years.
We just need moms.
We need
we'll take that to committee, Dr. Harrell. So,
If I could just add one more, Ray, on that, although I can't top Moggs, but one thing, and this isn't a Northside thing, so I just want the board to be informed, is that part of state law that exists now that applies to our guidance program is that guidance folks in our campuses have to train folks who work with kids on a daily basis around watching for behaviors that would be of concern. That's a required training that's done annually. So while that's not our initiative, it's certainly one that we participate in, and I just wanted to make sure the board was informed of that.
so switching gears from people now to procedures, some of the things to reiterate and or perhaps even make you aware of. So we have for years had employee ID badges. We also have student ID badges at secondary. The employee badges more and more, even at this building, many times there are proxy access. In other words, you can't get through a door without your badge. And so that's been part of the tightening that we've done in terms of building access for a number of years. The second bullet there, again, something we've done for many years, but I think we've tweaked to where I think we're doing a pretty adequate job, and that's drills. We all probably remember the fire drill we used to do as students. Well, that's evolved quite a bit now to where we have spring tornado drills. We have the lockdown drills. For years, we've had in our district an active shooter drill, which in our case has been the lockdown drill. And by that I'm talking we go through the exercise with students where doors are locked, lights are out, kids are in a corner, windows are closed, the perimeter of the building is checked. Typically these days now we have our PD there when we go through those drills. Currently we're looking at a piece, and I think we're at a level to where, especially at high school, you have a pre-discussion with students about the drill, make sure it's taken seriously. Then you have a post-conference after the drill. Kind of what did you see, what did you learn, what can we do differently? And so we're going through that whole process continuously as to how we can improve them. Principals are to keep a document on campus with the date and the time of every one of those, and so it's documented there if we ever need to refer to it internally. And then as far as our building goes, we have, as I mentioned, Mr. Allard here, and you've seen before the 3-year audits that we do that includes the safety plan itself. We want to see the plan that the campus has. Let's see it, is it updated, and what, if anything, needs to be changed. But he also goes through, and many of the elements that are involved in that audit include fencing and gates, parking, traffic flow, lighting, and then your intrusion and fire alarms. So everything that we feel is very important to not just the building, but the kids and everything safety said is involved in that whole audit. And so again, that's something we've been doing for years, and continue and have one dedicated individual for that. Next slide. The other piece, also working collaboratively, multi-departments, I guess you can say, MCPRs related to safety are discussed regularly. That's a minor construction project request. That's in Leroy's department. He's proud of me. I got it right. MCPRs, more and more, as you would imagine, with principals as they have these discussions with Shane or from the community, or just organically develop, end up sometimes in the discussion between facilities and administration. And so they've made it a part now, in the second bullet there, to include facilities and other departments when it comes to any type of enhancement at a building that might be suggested. I mentioned earlier the dispatch that we have 24/7. We, for years, I believe since 2000, have had in this district also the anonymous safe line that still, every week, we have calls come through for different reasons, and is there as an avenue for students, for anyone. And I think that's one of the things that we were, again, on the forefront years ago when we implemented that under PD. And as I mentioned earlier, and gave you a little bit of a description, we've had an active shooter drill for students, that being our lockdown drill that we've had for years. But we, in the last few years, especially with Shane here, have now implemented for staff as well, active shooter training for them, and currently are discussing a component for kids, for students. And we think high school is age appropriate there, and so we're looking at different trainings that exist that are already out there that we think are going to be such that with our community and with our students, and of course with parent involvement as well, that we can implement as yet one more component now as our active shooter type of training that we have in our district that would include the students and at a different level. Okay. Next slide. So facilities, switching from, as I said, people, procedures, and now facilities, we have approximately 7,500 cameras in this district, not just the schools, but this building, other departments as well. And so that ISMS department that I mentioned earlier, the Integrated Safety Management Systems Department, manages these cameras, doors, badges, everything related to that. That's what this team of folks do. And so these cameras are monitored by, and can be, our PD 24/7, live in real time, and as needed and on occasion, that is something that they do. Our police officers from their vehicles in their laptops can access cameras if need be, again in real time. And so that we think is a real advantage. The communication center that we've set up, again, through previous bond monies, we think is just state of the art in terms of the management of those cameras, and again being manned around the clock. Second item you've heard quite a bit about, security lobbies and the Raptor system that we've had. The Raptor system for years now at all our elementaries, and now thanks to Leroy's folks, and again through bond, are going to complete or are hoping to complete all elementary schools with the lobby that many of you are familiar with. And again, something that I think is a proactive measure that we've had in our district for a while. And then the last bullet, although it might seem, minor, it is a major one that, again, our thanks to facilities, but working with staff, admin, and PD, there's a continuous assessment of door handles throughout this district. As buildings get older, door handles are a pretty important thing to make sure are up to date and working properly. And so that is a constant maintenance that we're always having to deal with at a number of our schools. And we, again, working with facilities, are on a cycle where that's always being monitored. And happy to say that it seems like everything that we've had in terms of door handles, we've been able to correct. Continuing with facilities, proxy access at many of our doors. What that means is obviously you can't get through the door without that badge allowing you through it. At our elementaries, we've done a pretty decent job, I think, of tightening down the entrance to where, especially even during the day, teachers can only get through certain doors using that proxy card. And as they're walking through with their kids or line behind them, they have that proxy door to get through and use their badge. Again, as I mentioned, we have as much as possible in a community way of police presence, even at our elementaries and all our schools, and constant monitoring that we do of any type of information that we get. It's not just a video or anything that may be reported that way, but all sorts of information that it's nonstop for our police department that they're always monitoring. And then finally, a cooperative approach, as I've alluded to already. Any major renovation now, I think we have a very good process we have in place to where it could organically develop at the campus through a discussion with community, but a principal all of a sudden brings in admin and says, here's something that we think might work in terms of traffic or this door and the traffic flow with students. Then they involve usually the ISMS group. Again, that's under the police department. Now working with admin and PD, we bring in facilities. And so we have a process we go through to where it seems like it's a constant discussion of, I hear of a different school, working with admin, working with facilities, working with PD as to, is this something that we need to work on in terms of either another card reader, as we call it, as far as with the access, or an adjustment of a camera, adding a camera, changing a camera. All of that is a continuous discussion that we have now as a multi-department, I guess you can say, approach I found to be very effective. Next slide. So what's next? I mean, is that it? I mean, do we feel comfortable? Of course not. I go back to that continuous improvement. We will always, and it seems like there's always something camera, door, alarm related. That again is all tied together through the ISMS. We hope to extend, as I mentioned, the watchdog program. We're discussing the active shooter component, as I mentioned, for secondary students. And then, of course, we hope to have, within the next few years, if not sooner, the completion of all the lobbies at our elementary schools. We will continue to look at all buildings, tightening the points of entry, exits, the fewer the better. I know it's an inconvenience. Every now and then I'll get a call from a parent, even staff members. And I'll say, we're not going to apologize for inconvenience. I understand it may be that, but it's for your safety. We hope to, bullet item number 2, expand the elementary police program, which again we think is very successful. The community certainly has really been receptive to having those officers there. We'll continue to explore how the district level safety and security committee can provide us input and how they can be an integral part of what we do in the future regarding safety and security. And then we'll always, as I said, every year it's our job from a district level, starting with discussions at the campus, what can we do to update and improve anything drill related that we're doing at the campus. And then it's our goal, and I'm not sure what the numbers are now, but to provide active shooter for every Northside employee. Shane's keeping track of that, every department, every school. And then there are other things too as well that you might have seen, didn't know perhaps that we do at Northside, but some of our officers have piloted body cams on them. And so at some point I can probably see that being part of the regular uniform. Again, comes at a cost, and of course we've, again, I said piloted it. We want to, as best as possible, implement something that's going to be successful. And then the last one there, we've talked about thousands of cameras in buildings, but we have them on buses also. We have a lot of buses. And so we have cameras as a separate system, but that we utilize on buses. And we are currently, and again at a cost, but thinking and looking at ways, exploring of how to have GPS on buses, so that if anything, whether it be a flat tire or something else in terms of a crisis, that we are able to quickly identify that bus somewhere via GPS. And so certainly wanted to point out that, again, the support we've gotten has really helped. In the 2014 bond, you can see the numbers there. Those were the monies that were put aside or that were actually budgeted, which is a little over 8.2 million. And you can see that it includes everything. It includes everything about the communication I mentioned with PD, the P25 interoperability, but we also had the site, fencing, security lobbies, everything that you see there that were part of that one. And then moving forward, if the bond is approved 2018, this is what it's included in as part of 2018, and we have $34.7 million there, with a large part you can see there, the 16 million at the bottom. Technology being what it is, that there's always that infrastructure that needs to be updated. And so for those cameras and access control, the wiring and electricity and everything that goes with that constantly has to be improved. And so there's a good piece of a budget there that's included for that, as well as the 10 million that you see up for security lobbies that we think would be great to have all our elementaries have. And so again, I'll finish with what I started with, which is there will always be a dialogue, there will always be a conversation, there will always be multiple departments and stakeholders involved. And you heard Dr. Wood said it before, and certainly as much as possible want to create as safe as possible school and building, but in a family-friendly way. I mean, we don't want to get to the point to where it becomes prison-like, I guess, for lack of a better description. And so that's our goal, and we will continue to work toward that. Questions, comments?
Thank you.
Mr. Lopez?
Yes, thank you. You know, Ray, first of all, thank you very much for giving us this presentation. I think it's really most important at this time, now that we're all on such a heightened alert about the security, the safety of all our campuses, all our children in our district. And so I think this presentation was timely. It gives us an idea of what we're doing, you know, what we have available, and kind of like what we're looking at in the future. So thank you very much for doing that. Chief Carnes, I'd like to be able to say thank you for being out there and being, you know, the leader in all of this, and ensuring that we have the right people on board, and making sure that our campuses are safe. And I have to say, it's really nice seeing you here at the board meeting. So we don't get to see you often, but we hear about your great work. So, but you know, to the point, I did have a question about, you know, and it was what one of the citizens had brought up, and about as far as the monitoring of the cameras. Now, isn't there some type of a law that says that, or, you know, I'm not sure if it's a criminal law or some statute that says in order for you know, an incident to be reported, or it has to be viewed by a peace officer. Am I correct? Or am I somewhere in there in that lines? Am I incorrect on that?
Charlie, if you, excuse me, Chief Carnes, if you could come up here, please.
And again,
Allard, you may want to join him.
Again, this is having to do if kids are monitored or something happens, right? An incident that can be reported. Now, in order for it to really be held in court, you almost have to be a peace officer. Am I correct?
That's dealing with Class C misdemeanor
Okay.
traffic tickets.
Okay.
Yeah, if
And
it's
it's
a
not having
traffic
to do-
citation, then it has to be viewed by a police officer. Other than that, you know, it would be the evidence shown.
Or like a graffiti or something like that.
Now,
you know.
someone doing graffiti, that's a higher offense,
Sure.
and so a police officer doesn't have to view that. But of course, if someone else is viewing the camera and sees it, well, then a police officer could easily come in and review that as well if there is a need there. Yeah.
Yeah, because I know that was one of the questions, and can somebody be, you know, reported, and I think that would be great, but if you're correct, and I'm almost positive you're right, so I just thought I had a question about it. I don't want to challenge you. No, also, you know, I think a lot of, you know, when we're talking about, you know, technology and moving forward, and like you said, Ray, I mean, it's perfect. We want to keep our kids safe, but we don't want to make it a prison, and I think those are key points that we have to remember. We got to create that learning environment and keep that learning environment free, and where where they wouldn't even know that they're being really secured. So I thank you for what you're doing. Great job out there. Ray, thank you very much for the presentation. You know, this was really needed, and thank you, Dr. Woods, for, you know, making this happen.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Dr. Harrell?
I really don't have a question. I just have a comment. You mentioned that you would get input from a variety of stakeholders, and because these incidents have impacted students so much, I would really encourage all our campuses to make sure there's a system for our students to be able to give ideas and suggestions, very similar to what I heard at Marshall with the ambassadors. They were talking about if that had happened at Marshall, who in the room would have been able to go to an adult prior to that and saying, I have a concern about this other student, without feeling like they were tattletaling. And they even use that word. You know, we raise our kids not to tattletale, but how do you have a relationship with a significant adult so that you feel secure enough to say, look, this kid has some issues, or I heard her say this. So something along those lines, and also suggestions for their own safety. And the week before that, I had been on a trip to Ball. It was with Leadership Tasby, and we went to Ball High School, and one of the students told the principal there were 97 different ways someone could get inside that building. And they had done a report to the board very similarly to this one, where it was doors and windows and badges and everything. But the kiddos actually took them on like windows that were, you know, below some sort of, I don't know, where there had been a gutter or something. Because the building's very old. Ball High School is probably as old as Marshall, who knows, but it's an old building. And there were all these different ways to get inside. And so really, the principal said, from now on, I'm having a safety committee of students on my campus and runs everything by them and gets input that way. So again, I'm just trying to make the point that I really think our students have the answers as well. And if there's some sort of forum for that kind of input, I would heartily encourage it. And thank you for the work.
Mr. Blunt.
Yeah, just a couple of real quick comments. Hate going down memory lane, but when you're talking about the fire drills, I tell you the truth, I don't remember. I know we went through them, the fire drills, but I do remember in elementary school is when we used to have the nuclear war ones where you got underneath the desk. For those that are acknowledging, I won't make any comments about age or anything, but separate from that, no, what I do want to do, I sincerely do want to thank you all because I know you've been answering a lot of questions. A lot of people are curious now and other things, and y'all been extremely, extremely patient and communicating as much as you can with the community about what we have done and continue to do with that north side. So really appreciate of y'all taking that time to do that. And like Trustee Chumley, when she started out, there's a lot of preventative and other things that happen that we do not need to know and have no idea of, but I think what I know, y'all doing a really great job and appreciate it again.
Thank you. Ms. Freeman?
Yes. In Friday letter, Dr. Woods shared with us that PBS had contacted Communications Department in Northside regarding safety and security. Dr. Woods, could you share some thoughts on why us, how they found us, and when that might be televised? Or
So I'm going to look for Barry because I don't know the answer to either one of those questions and hope for help. So, Mr. Pettis, help me out.
So PBS has researchers that search through the nation for various school districts. They vetted Northside based on our demographic, based on our size, the number of campuses, and some of the initiatives that they had heard about, in particular the bullet-resistant security lobbies at the elementary campus. They actually spoke with a few of us, myself, they spoke with Chief Carnes, and after those interviews felt very confident in sending the correspondents down. They were here for 2 days, they visited 2 campuses, they visited the police dispatch center, spoke with Chief Carnes, spoke with the superintendent, and they anticipate from what we hear now, maybe an airing of around April 10th.
Thank you. Very good. It's just very interesting. And you'll let us know when that might get closer, Barry?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yes, absolutely.
For sure.
They'll give us a notice. In fact, I'm due a call with them tomorrow, so I hope to get more confirmation of a date. And once I do that, we'll definitely
We can set
send
the
that.
DVRs. Yeah. Thanks. Okay. All right.
Do any other trustees have any questions? Charlie, I just wanted to, Chief Carnes, I'm sorry, I wanted to thank you and all of your officers for the professionalism that you have shown. I remember when I first got on the board and our police department was not what it is today. And we actually, I'm going to tell a real quick story. We actually had a police officer who brought his own dog as our K-9 dog. And as you can imagine, that was, had mixed results on how successful that was. And I bring that up because it's like, it's really day and night. And it's not that there wasn't good effort, positive intent from the gentlemen that were here back in '95 and protecting us and our children, but just the level that you have now. And I was really impressed, and I'm not asking you to go into a detailed explanation, but we had an incident with a situation with a student, and I was just extremely impressed with the interaction that our police department had with the San Antonio Police Department and with other entities of law enforcement. And you brought it to a successful conclusion, and I just really wanted to thank you for all of that, because I thought that we have come so far from where we were all those almost 25 years ago. So thank you. Your officers have done a a tremendous job. And what I really like is particularly on middle school, which to me is such a trying, high schools, you know, kids in high school, I don't know, I think that they will tend to, you know, go to a police officer or go to a teacher, but middle school is just that weird age with kids. And what I really like is our middle school officers really get to know our students. In fact, really all of our officers, I've appreciated that we use our officers at our extracurricular events, you know, our football games, our stadiums, our gyms, because they really do know the kids. And I think that that's something that is a very big change from oh so many years ago, is that officers, and they're going to be a big part to me of being able to recognize kids that are in stress. And I really appreciate that they look at our kids to try to find solutions before they have to take any other action. So I just wanted to thank you for that. And Mr. Allard, I wanted to ask you, so the audit cycle, so how do you do the audit cycle? And I know I've appreciated the reports that you have come back with. So like as to Carol's comment about ball, where the kids said there were 97 areas that we didn't know about, or that school district didn't know about. So just on a high level, could you just kind of tell us a little bit about how you do your audits?
Yes, ma'am. So when I was initially brought on in 2014, the way we did the audit was we waited to the last minute, and I had to knock out all the schools and got it done. The state of Texas says we don't have to wait till the last minute to do the audits and to do them in the outlying years. We only have to send in a report every 3 years. And so what we implemented is I start alphabetically, and I'm at C's right now, and constantly I'm at school twice a week. I'm at a school conducting an audit. So I already started at A's, we're in C's, and I make a three-year schedule with the schools, so the schools can plan for it. We make changes, testing and stuff like that, make arrangements for them. So I visit a school, I get with the principal and the vice principal, the custodians, I'll talk to the nurses, and we'll visit their safety plans, make sure we have a district standard now. One issue we had in the initial audit was we didn't have a standard, and we had 114 different security plans. So I standardized all our plans, and now everybody's on the same sheet of music, so you go from school to school to school, and everything's the same. And so I initially I just look at their plans. I talk to them, what do we need? What does a district need? I mean, if I give you a badge reader right now, do you know where it's going to go? You need a camera, where is it going to go? Just have like a little wish list going, just in case we come into some money, and we can put a badge reader in, stuff like that. And so I go through the whole process. I visit the school, walk around the school, point out general safety issues that I will see. But that said, I just look at all the fences, look at the cameras. Before I even visit a school, I check every camera. I autofocus every camera. If there's a camera that's out, I'll report it to ISMS directly saying, hey, they got a camera out. I'm doing an audit. We need to get it fixed. And so, and they were very quick to get those fixed.
Thank you. And then I just have one other question. So if I'm at a campus, I'm a parent at a campus, and I see a gate that's, you know, no longer secure or hanging oddly, does that go to the campus principal, or is that something that would go back to y'all?
That will go to the principal, and then they will initiate putting in a maintenance request to have it adjusted or fixed. Sometimes it's just, hey, we need to close the gate, because we'll open up our gates on the weekends to allow parents to use the facilities, the playgrounds and stuff like that. And Monday morning, they may forget to close that gate and resecure it. And so, I mean, we do get the calls, where the parents get the calls all the time that, hey, there's a gate that's always open. Why is it open? And it's like, okay, maybe we didn't look at that. And then we'll go and we close those gates for them. But the parents are definitely our second set of eyes, where they assist us and let us know what are safety issues.
Great.
Safe line as well. Any type of safety issue, we get those on Safe line as well.
That's great.
Is there good usage of that?
Oh, yes.
Good.
Yes, lots. There's a lot of good usage.
You know, I've also found that, you know, a lot of the parents even are communicating on nextdoor.com. You know, they're saying, hey, heard about this. So it's always good to be in that social media realm as well and have that part. Because I know SAPD is, and their safe officers, they're a part of the neighborhood associations, and they're in there, and they advertise and say, hey guys, I'm Officer so-and-so, you know, I'm a safe officer, here's my number, if you hear anything, need anything. And I think that's a good avenue for giving the community an idea, say, hey, we have people out there, so And the fact that we're out there too as well on campus, it's great. So, thank you very much for what you guys do.
Thank you very much. We appreciate y'all being here
Thank
this
you for
evening.
your support.
this
As
evening.
with anything successful, it takes a lot of support, and we are very thankful for the support of the board, Dr. Woods, Mr. Galindo, so many people, and that doesn't go unnoticed for sure by the police department. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Good presentation. Thank you, Ray.
You're welcome.
Dr. Woods.
Thank you. I just wanted to make a couple of closing comments. I'm glad we were able to have that conversation. I just want to echo, and Ray did a good job of saying this, of that 3 legs of that stool, at least 2 of them require a major commitment, a major financial commitment on the part of this board, and that is the people, that some of whom you met tonight, as well as what we do in our facilities to make our buildings safer for our students and our staff. So I want to echo what Ray had to say about appreciating the board's sophistication and understanding of security needs in a school district and your support of those needs. Without that support, this would have been a very short presentation. So thank you.
Thank you. All right. The next item of business on the agenda is the future agenda items. Dr. Woods.
Yes, ma'am. Ms. Chumley and members of the board, you have at your place the standard blue folder. In it, you have a number of invitations in addition to the future agenda item list that we maintain. We've got soccer playoffs starting this week. We've got your formal invitation to the annual retiree luncheon, Partner of the Year awards, and then also several items associated with the NSBA conference that will be early next month. So a number of items in the folder for you tonight.
Okay. I just have one thing, and that's if trustees could look at their calendars and let Linda know next week, we need to have a run-through of our NSBA presentation next week, and so we'll need to let Linda know I'm going to find 2 dates and send that out. I think that seemed to work better, and then if trustees will just let me know which one is going to be, or let Linda know which one is going to be the one that the majority of us can make it to. I'll try to have it early in the first part of the week. All right, that leads us to thank y'all all very much for being with us this evening. That leads us to the Board of Trustees on March 27th, beginning at, I can't see what time it is.
8:50 now.
At 8:50, we'll convene in closed meeting in accordance with Texas Government Codes, Sections 551.072 and 551.074. Thank you. All right. So the Board of Trustees on March 27th ended its closed. I'm really tired. I'm sorry, guys. The Board of Trustees on March 27th, 2018, beginning at 9:12 p.m. will convene in open session. Is there a motion to come before the board?
Ms. Chumley,
Ms. Freeman.
I move approval of the administrative appointments as discussed in executive session.
Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we approve the administrative appointments as discussed in closed session. Is there any questions, comments? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, the ayes have it, the motion carries. All right, the board ended its meeting at 9:12 p.m. Thank you very much.